Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Arifah binti Jais and my metric number is 151042. Today I will be presenting about the current application of Wasiyah and Hibah in Malaysia. First is introduction. The exclusivity of the Islam is made clear by the many methodical asset planning tools that are provided and coupled with a comprehensive guidance. Our classical book of fiqh were produced by earlier academic and provide documentation of all the law and guidelines related to the inheritance of property. And the idea behind its implementation has developed through time to fit the challenges that are important to human life. Now let's look at definition of wasiyah. Wasiyah, or commonly called as wasiat, is a type of will that the donor of an asset express either in writing or orally his last desire for the distribution of part of his assets. This is implemented because then individuals who are not qualified to acquire the property according to the laws of the foreign may also obtain it. According to Sabri and Muhammad in 2015, a gift wasiat is a gift of property but it's transfer ownership to the donee after the death of the donor. And a wasiat is also a gift or contribution made by a person to another person or party after his death, whether the words of the will are spoken or not. Wasiat can be divided into four types, which is first is absolute will, second is conditional wills, third is general wills, and fourth is special will. So there are four valid wills major element. The first is testator called al-musi, second is beneficiary called musalahu, third is property bequeathed called musabihi, and fourth is a declaration of deed of wasiyah or called sirah. Now we're moving to hibah. According to I property, hibah means gift. It is a gift of movable or immovable property made during the settler lifetime. And according to Bakar in 2020, hibah is also described as transfer of ownership of an asset without consideration. The giving of property ownership for one person to another without any compensation that happens throughout the life of the hibah provider is done willingly and is not intended to accept anybody, and it's done by reciting an ijab and kabul or other similar terms. There are two types of hibah. First is absolute hibah and second is conditional hibah. Absolute hibah is also known as al-hibah al-munjizah, and conditional hibah are divided into two, which is umrah and rukbah. There are also four valid hibah major elements. The first is the settler called al-wahib, second is the beneficiary called al-mawhub lahu, and third is property bequeathed as hibah called al-mawhub, and fourth is offer and acceptance, or we call it sirah. So now we on our main discussion, which is application of wasiyah in Malaysia. According to the law applies to Muslim in trouble with in Malaysia are provision based on Islamic law list 2, 9 schedule federal constitution dates enactment of each state, and the issuance of will or probate or letter of administrative power. Twin will is located below the jurisdiction of the Civil High Court as provided by the Probate and Administration Act, which Act 1959 does not apply to Muslim as it is based on English law. Furthermore, the jurisdiction of the Sharia court is only to confirm the validity of a will, especially where there is a dispute among the parties. Muslim issue must be referred to the both courts. This will cost Muslim time and money. Selangor, Melaka and Negeri Sembilan has regulate Muslim wills, and other state Sharia courts must follow common rule, such as referring to the Sharia law while considering wills matter. Now let's look at the organisation that managing will or Wasiyah in Malaysia. Banking institution in Malaysia also provide a variety of will-related service. Banking institution commonly provide will drafting service and as executor appointment or called wasi. Example of banking institution that provide will service is such as Bank Islam, Maybank, and CIMB Trustee Berhad. Other than banking institution, there also has a company that organized under the government, which is Amanah Raya Berhad. Amanah Raya has provided a Wasiyah service for Malaysian. Will service may be provided for each Muslim or non-Muslim through Amanah Raya. And beside of these two type of organisation, they also have entrepreneurial organisation in Malaysia that produce service will in Malaysia, which is As-Salihin Trustee and Wasiyah Shop. Now we're moving to the application of Hibah in Malaysia. In Malaysia, there are no designated provision in Malaysia on Hibah being implemented. Much too far, we have solely used the Sharia Court jurisdiction provision as stated forward by Item 1, List 2 of the NIN Schedule of the Federal Constitution. And the word gift is defined in the clause. The clause shows that Hibah is an aspect of each state Islamic religious administration that directly includes the Sharia Court's authority. And there are three distinct terminologies used in regard to Hibah in the laws include the Islamic religious law of the state. As general provision of Hibah exists in Malaysian legal system, Hibah comprise two important aspects, which is life and mar al-maut. And according to Muhammad Said, the majority of Hibah matter heard in Sharia court involve of Hibah confirmation. Moreover, there is many terms in Hibah being used in state in Malaysia. First is alang and non-reciprocal settlement are used in Selangor, Melaka, Pulau Pinang, Johor, Perak, Kedah, Terengganu and Sabah Sarawak. While Hibah is used in Negeri Sembilan, a term gift is used in Pahang and Perlis, while alang hayat is used in Kelantan. Next is Hibah Trust. Hibah Trust is a Hibah system distinguished by the blending of Hibah and Trust. After the donor death, the allocated property and trust to the trustee will be transferred to the donee. Furthermore, to protect the donor rights from being expelled from the property by the donee, a second contract is drafted to allow the donor to utilize the administer the property until he dies. However, in 5 October 2000, the Federal Territory 56 Islamic Legal Consultative Committee conclude that the placing of condition is permitted after the ijab and kabul. Similarly to the Securities Commission Malaysia, Sharia Advisory Council (SAC) determined at its 44th meeting on 50 January 2003 that the concept of Hibah Rukbah may be used as Sharia basis. Hibah Rukbah are employed in the claim form of Hibah for transaction involving mutual trust with unit trust fund, particularly for Muslim. Next is documentation of Hibah. The Hibah document is used in joining application of Hibah in Malaysia. Hibah documentation is a special practice that donors are argued to use throughout its life. This document purpose is to guarantee that the property handed to friends, family, or called donee is acknowledged without being disputed by other heirs. In modern practice, ijab and kabul are often accomplished in writing and signed by both parties, donors and donee, in the presence of two witnesses. The advantage of Hibah documentation are mainly to streamline the process of dispersing the deceased donor's property and to avoid conflict between the donee and the deceased heirs of over property ownership after his death. So now we're moving to the organisation that managing Hibah in Malaysia. In this assignment, I state three, which is Hibah in Amanah Raya, Hibah in Wasiyah Shop, and Hibah Amanah in ASNB. Now we're looking at the difference between Wasiyah and Hibah. The first is the beneficiary. Wasiyah is only for non-heirs, where Hibah can be for non-heirs and heirs. Second is amount of asset. For the Wasiyah, the amount of asset that can be transferred is 1/3 of the assets, while Hibah is there's no limit. And third is the enforcement time. Will or Wasiyah is after the testator death, and Hibah is complete during the donor lifetime. Next part is a recommendation for the issue of Hibah and Wasiyah in Malaysia. We must address in the issue in order to safeguard the welfare of Muslim community in Malaysia. And first, we can let more information about Hibah and wills must be always be available to the public, either in print or online. In the same way, State Islamic Religious Department of the parties need to put together Friday speech that talk about Hibah and the will of Muslim. We also can takmin teachers in mosque or surah should learn more Hibah and wills so they can teach this thing to the community on a regular basis through workshop or courses. Second is each state needs to make an act or enactment. For Muslim Hibah, there is clear standard and specific. They will make it easy to look up when the subject of Hibahs come up. This is very important reference for the Sharia courts when deciding if Hibah is valid. There is because of a lot of organizations are now in charge of planning the property of Muslim, whether it's through or Hibah, will or something else. It is important to keep an eye on everything and keep track of it all in one place. Even government agency or business which stay in the issue has its own Sharia panel, but monitoring and oversight need to be done centrally. And lastly, fatwa committees, either in central or state level, need to issue a clear and firm fatwa to help Muslims who want to carry out hibah and wasiyah in accordance with the current law as well as Islamic law. So to conclude, hibah and wasiyah or will instrument are two essential estate planning inheritance tools. In terms of the law and the method of this execution, each has a distinct standing in Islam. If both of these two are administered with order and in line with the Sharia standard, then the destiny of the close relative in need of assistance will be safeguarded. First, the public often misunderstand these two documents, particularly in case of death of the person delivering the hibah of the testator. Action that should be made to guarantee that Malaysian Muslim population have a proper awareness of Islamic heritage management. And lastly is understanding inheritance management is very essential for every Muslim to prevent persecution and malpractice in estate management. That's all from me. Thank you.